Well, good morning. It's mid-April here in our Alabama rose garden, and we're beginning to see some blooms. Here you see the blooms of a beautiful old China rose, mutabilis. A number of different irises that bloom in our garden. These are tall bearded iris, and we just love this purple and white color combination. This isn't a very pretty bloom, but it is a very pretty color, almost a copper type color of a tall bearded iris. It's planted here near our burgundy iceberg shrub, which is beginning to get a few tiny buds at this point. It'll be in bloom in no time. And here we see our first blooms of double knockout. It's a red knockout, introduced by Star Roses and Plants. They're on Twitter now. Plant a Star on Twitter. Be sure and check them out. It's a great family of low maintenance roses. Wanted to show you just how large these knockouts are, and I cut them back to waist high back in the fall, and they have now reached about 5 foot 5.5 inches tall, and it's two shrubs together, and this shrub has gotten quite large and will burst forth in beautiful blooms here within the next day or so. My wife plants our containers every year, and these are some beautiful petunias, some of the Supertunias from proven winners, and they have already filled out this pot. I can't wait to see these progress throughout the summer. Right next to that, she took one of our kids' their old red wagon that they used when they were growing up and repainted it, and we drilled some holes in the bottom, and we've made a planter out of it. Some beautiful plants there as well. We are back now around the side of our home, and we're walking towards our garden gate, and you can see here a huge shrub of an old species rose called swamp rose. It's probably about 8 foot tall, and it's beginning now to form some very tiny buds, and will be in a glorious flush of bloom here within just a couple of weeks. We're always excited to see this beautiful species rose come to life. We call this area the swamp area because it does retain some water, and we put down some pea gravel and some things to help with drainage, but there are also some other irises blooming here. These particular irises, well, most of our irises actually came from our mother-in-law in Tennessee, who is a huge iris lover herself, and she was very generous in sharing her iris collection with us. These have a really neat fragrance. Venture into our garden now and see what we can find in bloom here. As you can see, we have many things already starting to bloom. Our tall bearded irises, you can see the color bursts there on the left. They're always a great joy to see come springtime. Let's walk around and see what else we can find blooming. The beautiful rose from the Simply Brilliant collection. It's actually a brand new shrub that is beginning to get some buds. This is Poseidon. It's a beautiful lavender colored rose that is actually a Cordis variety, and you can see the lush, beautiful foliage on this rose. Never been sprayed, and we're going to not spray it in our garden, as it is very disease resistant, and I cannot wait to show you the blooms when they come. This is Poseidon from Cordis Rose, introduced by Certified Roses, part of their Simply Brilliant collection. Here, quite a large display of yarrow that will be in bloom here just shortly. A lot of people are shocked to see that we have actually other things growing in our garden. We've got black-eyed Susans and more irises and some sedum and some other items growing back here in this bed. I wanted to show you these stars that my wife she planted them on the wall, I guess, but she repainted them, and it just brings a big burst of color to the garden, and we think they're very pretty. Right next to those stars is another star in our garden. Actually, it is a 3 shrubs of Golden Celebration, which is a David Austin rose. And you can see these beautiful buds that are appearing, just hundreds of them. And then right next to it, growing together, is Rennes de Violets. Is a beautiful old hybrid perpetual rose that is just loaded with buds. And you can see that these 2 roses have just sort of grown together. And this year, this rose is sort of taken on a life of its own up to the top of our fence. And I cannot wait to see these beautiful yellow and then the purple blooms of Rennes de Violets all blooming together in harmony. It'll be a beautiful thing. This is one of our very first roses to bloom this spring, and you can see she's still in her flush. This is Old Blush, another old China rose that we have growing in our garden, and we just love the loose ruffled blooms of this rose. And she just sort of blooms all on her own up against this fence, and it's a beautiful display. You can see here another shot of the new bed of roses that I planted a couple months ago. They are putting out a lot of new growth, and we will have some blooms here in no time. You can see this is a shrub of St. Patrick, and then up here on top, these large climbers of social climber are budding up and will be blooming here in no time at all. This is another project that my wife did. She took her dad's old wheelbarrow and she repainted it, and we drilled holes in it, and she has repurposed it now as a planter. And in this garden area, that we have some water issues here, that some drainage problems, and so again we sort of dug that out and put gravel in to help increase the drainage. And we found this really neat stepping stones this year that a lady makes here locally, and we just love the designs on them, the bees, and there are some dragonflies. We just think they're pretty cool. And then planted right next to this wheelbarrow is what we know will be a very large shrub of Senorita Rosalita Cleome, which is a proven winner's introduction. Did very well for us last year inside the fence in the rose garden, and we're looking forward to big flushes of blooms out of it this summer. This is another shrub that's just loaded with blooms. I'll show you, we've got our buds, and we've got some blooms already. This is Mary Rose, beautiful David Austin rose. It's usually the first to bloom, and I'll show you the one that beat it out this year is the Fairy Rose. It's not the Fairy Rose, it is Climbing Pinky. I get my names confused today, but you can see these beautiful blooms of Climbing Pinky. The very first rose to bloom in our garden this year. We leave you today with the blooms of yellow iris. These were surprise irises in our garden. I never planted yellow irises here, but yet they showed up right here in the little bed near this planter. So we hope you enjoyed today's garden walk, and we hope that you'll find us on Twitter at Redneck Rosarian, at our website redneckrosarian.com, and that you'll listen to Rose Chat Radio. We're the only radio broadcast dedicated to growing roses at blogtalkradio.com/rosechat.